The topic of my speech is living as a skeptic optimist. And as you might know, the skeptic is the definition of the word skeptic is someone who mistrusts people and ideas and people's intentions. And an optimist is someone who always expects the best outcome, someone who always sees the cup half full. So how can the two go together? Well, even though it might seem surprising, I find that this phrase, this oxymoron, describes my personality the best. And I would like to explain to you just how did I come to become a skeptic optimist. I was born in Russia and I lived there for 13 years of my life. My family wasn't very rich and my parents didn't always have money to buy us toys, me and my older brother. But what we had plenty of were books. Half of our living room was lined with bookshelves with all sorts of books of all sorts of genres. And for the first lots of years of my life, I had my nose stuck in a book, which evidently resulted in my loss of good eyesight, but it also developed my curiosity. And when I went to school for the first time, I found that I was very eager to learn. I absorbed knowledge like a sponge, and before I knew it, I became a straight-A student. But once that became true, I've also realized that my teachers, the way they treat me has changed. You see, in some schools in Russia, teachers are rewarded for having good students in their class. They are given monetary rewards for having excellent students, especially students with straight A's, such as myself. And I found that rather than being encouraged and motivated, I was pressured to keep my good grades up, to the point when it became ridiculous. I was always bad at physical education, something I could never overcome. But my homeroom teacher managed to convince my physical education teacher to give me an A instead of C, just to keep my grade up. Knowing where my grade came from didn't make me any happier. As a result, I started mistrusting people. I started thinking, did that person really want to help me, or did they have some kind of a hidden agenda in mind? But luckily, I also have another side to me, an inner optimist, which helped me from becoming a hermit and going into the woods and living away from people. Similarly to how I learned how to love learning, I discovered my inner optimist through books. My favorite genres were fairy tales and adventure novels and mystery novels. And what they all have in common is that the ending is usually a positive one. In a fairy tale, the princess always finds her prince. In an adventure novel, the hero always comes to his goal, even if sometimes it's not the goal that he expected. And in a mystery novel, the great detective always finds the culprit, because otherwise who would read that book? And so my optimism has always been a part of myself, similar to my inner skeptic. But what my optimist also did is develop my stubbornness. I have become quite obsessed with reaching my goals. For example, when I was applying to university at first, in high school, I always had this in mind that I had to go to architecture school. But it didn't accept me the first time. So rather than going for my second choice, I decided that I would stay back a year, take some subjects that I didn't want to take before, like biology, and improve my portfolio. As a result, I was accepted for the second time, and I have happily graduated this year. Sometimes I think to myself, what would have happened if I had a good portfolio to begin with? What would have happened if I had went for my second choice program? Would I be happier? Would I have not have wasted a year of my life? But that's when I realized, no, I have met so many good people, so many close friends, and so many incredible people who motivate me through their work, through those 4 years, that I wouldn't change the choices that I've made for anything. Being a skeptical optimist is not an easy thing. I often find myself to be at odds with myself. I expect the best, I accept the worst, but I hope for the best. I have mentioned that books have given me my optimism, but there is one thing that books cannot give me. It is this feeling of surprise when my inner skeptic is defeated by someone's unexpected kindness, or when someone that I think is a very unenthusiastic person suddenly becomes very eager and suddenly pursue an idea or a project with unparalleled passion. thanks to my numerous encounters in life. I don't always know when to become skeptic or optimistic about something, but I know that these surprises in life is what makes it interesting and fascinating. Thank you.